My name is Berenice Cunil and I will be presenting you on adjectives. An adjective describes or modifies nouns and pronouns in a sentence. It normally indicates quasi shapes and contents and also feelings. Adjectives usually provides relevant information about the nouns, pronouns they modify, describe by answering some question such as what kind, which one, how much, and how many.
Hey guys, as how Bere said before, um, that there are four questions you should ask when you are finding an adjective. Um, the questions are what kind, which one, how many, and whose. We'll begin with some examples on what kind. What kind of car? It's blue. What kind of rope? It's long. What kind of person? Tall. What kind of house? Big. So we'll continue on the others on which one, which town, this town, which week, last week, which day, the second day, and which woman, the other woman. Now, we'll be seeing on how many seconds, one, how many boys, three, how many cars, a few, how many people, several people. Here are some examples of adjective: charming, cruel, fantastic, gentle, huge, perfect, rough, sharp, tasty, and zello. Okay, now we're gonna look on some examples so that we could further understand what we are saying. Okay, so here are five examples, and I already underlined the adjectives. They live in a beautiful house. What kind of house they live? In a beautiful house.
Good day, class. By the end of this video, we will have a clue on what is an absolute adjective. For example, the bird is dead. We will not want to say the bird is partly dead or the bird is very dead. We will have an absolute idea of the bird that is dead or very little. We will have an universal, a whole idea of the bird that is dead. Thank you. Good morning, class. My name is Winston Castellanos, and I will help you to understand what is a coordinate adjective. For example, we have a sentence over here, and how do we see what is a coordinate adjective? We follow these three rules or three guidelines or pointers. First, they are two or more adjectives that bond together to modify the same noun. My mom has a big old round medal. We found the noun in here. It's a medal. And the adjective, big old round. They're adjective. And they are more adjective. And they are bounded. So what we have is a coordinate adjective, and they are separated with a comma. And how do we see that they are coordinate adjective? Because they follow the dos as comp. The dos as comp is the D, which is the determiner, the O the opinion, the S for the size, the age, the A for the age, and the S for the shape, the C for the color, the O for the original, the M for the material, and the P for the purpose. This should be an A, but I wrote an H. Another example is you gave me a small yellow banana. The adjectives are small and yellow, which are describing banana. We follow the those as come. Small, we have small for the shape, for the size, and yellow for the color. So we have followed the those as come. Thank you.
I will be presenting on comparative adjectives. Comparative adjectives is just comparing two nouns. It can be a thing, person, or idea. So now we have the definition. So we'll go into more adjective, which has one syllable. Those that's one syllable, you add er and than. An example of words that are only one syllable will be tall. You add er becomes taller. Short, shorter. Quick, quicker. So in the sentence, we'll use taller. Rolando is taller than Kay. Just comparing the height of Rolando and Kay. And but the next one is, which car is faster? Just asking a question. For example, I have a Ferrari and a Volkswagen. You're just comparing which car would be faster. Another sentence would be, Susan is 2 years younger than me, just comparing the age of Susan and yours, which means that you're older than Susan. Adjectives with two or more syllables, you add more or less, and it will follow with than. An example of words that has two or more syllables will be interesting. When you can add more or less. Interesting, boring, you will also add less or more. Boring and aggressive will be more or less aggressive. A sentence would be tennis is more interesting than golf. You're adding more. You cannot add er because it will sound funnier. The tennis is interesting than golf. It doesn't sound right. That's funny. So instead of er, we'll add more or less. Interesting than golf. So for example, boxing is more aggressive than swimming. You're just comparing two sports, boxing and swimming, which means you're just comparing that boxing is more aggressive. There is more risk in that sport. And the last one will be, football is less boring than chess. Just comparing two sports, the football and chess. So football is more interesting, more funny, more exciting. And some people will think chess is boring because just quiet and there's a lot of thinking. So just comparing two sports and others' opinion. Then move on to adjective that finishes with the letter Y. So in a sentence, you change the Y to I and you add ER. Example would be angry. So you change the Y to I will become angrier. And happy, happier. Clumsy, clumsier. In the sentence, we'll use Pep is angrier than Charlie. Just comparing the temperature. Um, Charlie and Pep, and you just change angrier, the one to I and ER. And Jose is clumsier than Leo. Okay, you just changing the Y to I. That's our rule. ER. And little bit, he is lonelier than a stray dog. Just comparing a boy and man with a stray dog, and you change the Y to I. We add ER. And so we go for irregular adjective. For regular adjectives, you cannot add ER. Most or less, we have to change the word into the comparative form. For example, bad will be equal to worse. You cannot say badder or more bad or less bad. It doesn't sound quite right. It sounds funny in English grammar. So another will be good. It will be better. Far will be farther. And sentences using irregular adjectives will be at basketball, Brazil is better than America. So I don't use good, I just change the word to better. Because if I use good with the ER will sound funnier. At basketball, Brazil is gooder than America. So it doesn't make sense. You have to change the word into its comparative form. So that's why we're good will be better. At basketball, Brazil is better than America. Same for math. Same for the other sentence is math is worse than English. So I have to change I can say math is better than English. The other will be the farthest distance I can run is 25 miles. Just change far to further. That's just for comparative, just compares two nouns. And for superlative adjectives, superlative adjectives are it compares two or more nouns. So for adjectives with only one syllable, you add est with you add the and est. Example will be loud. So you add es will become loudest. Kind, kindest, and younger, youngest. And sentences using the word loudest will be Jerry is the loudest kid in the classroom. And there is just comparing Jerry with the with the with the rest of the kids, just saying that Jerry is the loudest in the classroom. This is the longest book I have ever read. Just comparing the book and any book with just saying that this is the has a lot of pages in it and took a while to finish reading. And there will be this is the Hope is the kindest person in the world. Just comparing Hope with the rest of the persons in the world. Just saying that he is the kindest man that exists. So there will be adjectives that finish with Y. Like I said previous, just change the Y to I and you add the superlative form would be Example with pretty will become prettiest. Just change the white I and add es. est, or for same thing for friendly, from friendliest, and curly, curliest. Sentences using the example friendliest will be Daisy is the friendliest girl. Just saying that Daisy is the most friendliest girl you ever find. And I am going to buy the prettiest flower for my mom. Just using prettiest instead of using the Y, just change the I and just add est. And same for Harry is the craziest friend from the three of us. Just comparing Harry with the rest of the group, with the three other persons, just saying that he's the most loudest, craziest, energetic friend in the group. We'll move on to adjectives with two or more syllables. You add the along with most or least. Example would be examples of adjectives that has two or more syllables are dangerous. When you add most or least, the most or least dangerous. Beautiful, least or most beautiful. Upset, the most or least upset. Sentences using dangerous would be swimming is the least dangerous sport. Just saying, just comparing that swimming will be the most safest sport you can practice. Thirdly, Sarah has the most beautiful hair. Just comparing Sarah's hair with the rest of the girls, just saying that it has the most beautiful and attractive hair. You cannot use est. There was some funny. There was some weird in English. So use I will use Sarah has the beautifulest hair. That's weird and funny when you use est. So instead of using est, you will use most or least. Will is the least upset. Will is the least upset person in the family. Just comparing Will with the rest of the family. Just saying that the he is the least person who will get upset and angry really fast. And we go with irregular adjectives. Just instead of using est most or least, you will change the word into a superlative adjective. The example, many will become the comparative form will be no, sorry, but examples will be many will come into superlative form will be most. And an example for bad in the superlative form will be worst. And good will be best. But if in the form for regular adjective for superlative adjective will become the regular word, then we'll go the comparative, then the superlative form. And sentences using the irregular adjective will be this is the worst day of my life. Just comparing that specific day was the craziest, unexpected, and the bad day you could ever have in your life. And the other one will be Joe is the most talkative student. It's comparing Joe is saying that Joe is the noisiest kid in the class. And you cannot use many. You cannot put est because it will sound like it's the pretty weird and funny. It won't make sense. So if I use est for many, will be Joe is manyest talkative student. You cannot understand the sentence. So instead of using est, they will change the word to its superlative form. And the correct way is Joe is the most talkative student. The last sentence is Maxwell is the best player. Instead of using good, I will use best. Because if I use good, I will be saying Maxwell is goodest is the goodest player. It doesn't sound right. So instead of using good, I will change the word into its superlative form, which will be best. So the correct word will be Maxwell is the best player. So it. That's it for my presentation on superlative and comparative adjectives. I hope that you understand it was very clear.
Good day to everyone. My name is Christopher Lopez. Throughout this video, we have been learning and seeing what the other adjectives, the different types of adjective degrees, and whatever else you heard. And well, this is an overview of what was said, and maybe something that was missing there, I'll be mentioning here. So we all know what an adjective is, which describes or modifies a noun and pronouns in a sentence. It indicates quality, size, shape, duration, feelings, contents, etc. Adjectives describe or modify by answering the questions what kind, which one, how much, and how many. I won't be giving examples since throughout the video there's been some examples, so this is just a conclusion, so I won't be giving too much examples. Types of adjectives are descriptive, possessive, quantitative, interrogative, proper, indefinite, demonstrative, compound, and article. Descriptive adjectives give description of noun or pronoun. Quantitative gives the how much, how many. Proper is just replacing. It's like a proper noun, but not because it has a proper adjective. When it's meaning a proper noun becomes a proper adjective, meaning the proper noun is describing a noun, or it has a word, an adjective that describes the proper noun. And also we have indefinite, which provide unspecific information about a noun. For example, some words are few, many, much, most, and etc. We also have compound adjectives. Combined words modify other nouns. They often are separated by a hyphen or joined by a quotation mark. Also, we have some articles that can be used as adjectives, depending on specific ways where you use them. It's not always, but sometimes. Now we have the degrees of adjectives. We have positive, comparative, and superlative. Positive degree adjectives are used to refer to a noun or a pronoun without making comparison, while comparative adjectives, they compare two nouns. For example, my house is bigger, while the positive will be her house is big. Now the superlative adjectives compare more than two nouns. For example, your house is the biggest. We see that we almost know already that we need to add er and es. Some are Some need special have special rules that need to be implied in order to make them comparative or superlative degree adjectives as well. For example, there are some irregular adjectives that do not form the comparative and superlative. An example of it is the word good, for it's which you cannot say more good or gooder, because it doesn't sound good, doesn't sound correct. So you would say good, better, and best. We also have extreme adjectives, which are non-gradable adjectives. They are words that mean extreme plus the adjective. For example, a simple adjective is cold, but then the extreme adjective would be freezing. For you cannot say more freezing, nor can you say most freezing. It doesn't sound correct. And in that part, we have the absolute adjectives. Absolute adjectives are supreme or infinite, with a meaning that is generally not capable of being intensified or compared. Simply saying it's either a yes or a no. For example, dead. You cannot say deadest or deader. You just say dead. He is dead or he's not dead. As well, sometimes they may be defined by an adverb, but that's a next story, so we don't want to be touching that. We also have coordinate adjectives, which are two or more adjectives separated by commas that parallel each other in modifying a noun. And these are coordinate. Usually, you can test them by taking out the comma and using an and if it makes sense, it might work. And also, you can play with the adjectives and switch them and see if they work as well. If it doesn't changes the sentence or the meaning of what the sentence is conveying, it's correct and it's a coordinate adjective. Well, that's all about adjectives. I hope you liked it, and I hope that you understood more about what are adjectives and how to use them in sentences. And also, I'll be leaving some links at the end of this video, so you can Google them and search them, and you'll be able to understand more about adjectives and maybe some of the confusing ones, because some are confusing. Thank you.